Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another new video. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Ribbontail, the brand new STRAND trace rifle that was also added with the Arms Week event. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the perks that you can roll on this weapon, what are some of the best ones, and the ones that you should be looking for if you're looking for a god roll on this weapon. And afterwards, we'll have a mini review where we talk about the things that I like or dislike about the weapon. So let's get into it, and first, we're going to talk about where to actually get this weapon. And very similar to the hand cannon, you basically just have to go and actually participate in the event. You can also buy it from the store as well once you have enough points. Although if you are going to be buying it from the store, make sure that you are as high as you can on your guardian rank. The higher you are in your guardian rank, the higher tier weapon you actually get, up to tier 4 weapons. So this is a very easy way to get some tier 4 weapons if you are high enough with your guardian rank. Now this weapon comes with 2 different origin traits. Omega Fluid Dynamics, which is going to give you reload speed and stability for the top half of the magazine. That's a pretty good perk. And also Tenacity, which is going to give you stacks of damage, reload speed, and handling as you get kills while you're near targets. And I just love Tenacity. It is such a good origin trait that whenever you fully stack it up, it's a permanent 10% damage buff. It's kind of hard to be just a free 10% damage buff. And now let's move on and let's talk about the most important thing with any weapon. Let's take a look at the trait perks. We're going to go very quickly through all of them. We're going to have a quick overview, and then we'll go a little bit more in depth into some of the best ones. Something that I'm actually really excited about with this weapon is because we do have some of the new perks that were added with Edge of Fate, as well as some older perks that it's the first time we're actually seeing them on a trace rifle. And after we look at the perks, we'll have some god suggestions so you guys know exactly what you're looking for. So let's get into it, and let's take a look at the perks that we have on this weapon. Now these are the options we're going to have for the very first trait perk. We have MBS Arsenal, Transcendent Moment, Subsistence, Threat Detector, Wellspring, and then lastly Proximity Power. And let's start with the MBS Arsenal, and this is typically not one of the perks that you see on trace rifles, but it can be okay on this trace rifle. The big problem they're going to run into with this trace rifle is that you do not have the MBS Arsenal bait and switch synergy. So that kind of knocks out a lot of the usability of MBS Arsenal, but you can still use it for being able to auto reload your weapon if that's something you want to do with it. But it's definitely not going to be the best choice, but I wanted to at least talk about it because it's a pretty popular perk. Now we also have Subsistence on this weapon, meaning that whenever we defeat targets, it partially reloads the magazine from reserves. I think this is actually the perk that ended up working the best on this weapon. It has really good synergy with some other perks in the second slot, and also being able to just constantly put more bullets into the magazine, never having to reload. Especially with a weapon like this one, where you're just constantly killing nats with a couple of shots. You're constantly going to be proccing Subsistence, and basically never really having to reload this weapon. Other really good choices are also going to be Wellspring, meaning that every time that you get a kill with this weapon, it will regenerate ability energy, and is divided equally with your own charge abilities. And Wellspring actually works fantastic on this weapon, since most of the time you are going to be killing nats, so you're going to be constantly proccing Wellspring, constantly getting a bunch of ability energy for whatever you're missing. And because of the way that Wellspring works, depending on the amount of abilities you're missing, it means that you're always getting the most amount of energy you can possibly get. So Wellspring is going to be fantastic, and if you're looking for higher ability uptime, then that's what you want to go for on this weapon. And the last one is going to be Proximity Power, and this is going to increase our melee stat whenever we get some kills with this weapon. Now this one is just okay. It's not going to be great because there's not a lot of things that are going to synergize with your melee on the other slot. So that kind of makes this perk just not as useful as it can be on some of the weapons that we've seen it on, like some of the shotguns or even on the new shotgun hand cannon. So I think Proximity Power is going to be okay, especially if you are really on a melee build, but I feel like there's better options out there if you are trying to look for a weapon that complements your melee builds. Now these are the options we have for the second perk. We have Surrounded, Detonator Beam, Tear, Binary Orbit, Redirection, and then lastly Killing Tally. We have a couple of different options right here. We have some more Ad Clear, we have some synergy with the Strand subclass, and then we have a lot of perks that are all about just giving you extra damage. So let's start off with Detonator Beam. Now this is gonna make it so whenever you do sustained damage to the weapon, it triggers a big explosion. I actually like Detonator Beam. I think it's really useful, especially when you're dealing with both big enemies and smaller enemies. You basically shoot the big enemy, and that big explosion should deal with the smaller enemies. It definitely makes it so you don't have to choose between just doing that clear or just shooting some big enemies with your trace rifle. You can actually deal with both of them with detonator beam. So I think this one's gonna be a really good choice. I think it pairs up pretty nicely with things like subsistence, because that explosion from detonator beam will actually proc subsistence. You also have Terry gonna go for some of the strand synergy. This is gonna make it so whenever you get a precision kill, it does a big severing blast around. This I think is gonna be pretty okay. The only bad thing about this one is that, like a lot of strand weapons, you don't have double strand synergy. You only have one perk that's really gonna synergize well with the strand subclass. Although it's a very good one, especially because Sever is such a good debuff, and it pairs up really well again with subsistence. You're gonna keep seeing this over and over again with a lot of these perks that we talk about. They all just pair up really well with subsistence. And then we have a bunch of damage perks like Surrounded, Redirection, Binary Orbit. All of those are gonna be okay, but the one that wins for sure is gonna be Killing Tally, meaning that every time that you get a kill, you're gonna be stacking up your damage up to a 30% damage increase, and it stays till you either reload or stow the weapon. And since this weapon also comes again with subsistence, it means that you can pretty much just keep extending the time with Killing Tally till you run out of ammo. That's basically the only time you really have to switch out of this weapon, with Killing Tally and subsistence, till you're completely out of ammo. So you're really gonna get a lot of Killing Tally, and if you're looking for a damage perk, this is probably gonna be the best one. The amount of uptime you have with the perk, and it being a 30% damage increase, is just perfect. And now let's talk about some god rolls with this weapon, and what I think that you guys should be looking for. And let's start with the things that pair up well with subsistence, which is pretty much any perk on the second slot. Subsistence Detonator Beam, Subsistence Killing Tally, Subsistence Tear. All of those rolls are going to be amazing, and the ones that 99% of you guys are probably going to go for. And those are going to be the main 3 rolls that I'm going to recommend. They're not the only rolls that will work on this weapon, there's definitely other ones that will, but I just think that they are the best ones, and if you're trying to look for the best on this weapon, these 3 are basically what you're looking for. But let me know in the comments below, what are you guys going to be looking for on your god roll for this weapon? Are you even going to be looking for that god roll on this weapon? Or do you already have your perfect trace rifle? Since we've literally just had a trace rifle with some banger perks last season, I don't know if a lot of people are actually going to be going for this one, especially because the rolls just seem pretty okay. Nothing super special. It does have some unique combinations and like some perks that you never really had on a trace rifle, but they're definitely not gonna beat some of the other strand trace rifles out there. I think people are pretty much just gonna be sticking to what they have. That's just completely the honest review on this weapon. It's pretty alright, but I wouldn't really call this a must-have or just something that you wanna go out of your way to get. Definitely this time around, people are just gonna be focusing on the hand cannon and pretty much only on the hand cannon. So that's what I think about this pulse rifle. It is just alright, nothing really that you need specifically, but you want to have it for your collection purposes, or there's something that just calls to you about this trace rifle, maybe the shiny, you know. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video, hopefully you guys liked it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone, have a good rest of your day, peace.